Coming up on Aggie News broadcast, cities in North Carolina are still recovering from Category 4 hurricanes, leaving many with no power or clean water. Next, we're expected to be in for a week of sunny skies. Meteorologist gives you the forecast of what to expect. North Carolina A&T Parking Services has created an app that will save Aggie some time, and one lucky Aggie went home with $1,000. You'll hear more about how this happened.
Coming up right here with Aggie News broadcast.
Good morning. You are watching Aggie News broadcast, where we give you coverage locally, globally, and right within your own HBCU community. I'm your news anchor, Kai Fisher.
And I'm Olivia Brooks. Consumers can shop a little easier after the suspension of the strike led by U.S. port workers with the International Longshoremen Association. The strike began after the expiration of the union contract and the collapse of negotiations between workers in the U.S. Maritime Alliance. Atlantic ports handle more than half of U.S. imports, with ports from Maine to Texas being affected and at least 25,000 workers participating. The strike had the potential to disrupt the U.S. economy entirely.
Well, what sparked the strike exactly? The workers were asking for a pay increase and more job security. In turn, employers offered a 62% increase in wages over 6 years. The strike specifically threatened to disrupt the supply of fresh produce, automobile parts, and alcohol, resulting in some businesses stocking up on goods that would be impacted. Some consumers also made sure they were prepared, buying goods that they would need if the strike were to last. The suspension of the strike will last until January 15th, marking a speedy conclusion to a potentially disastrous event.
A once vacant office has been remodeled to a place where students can breathe and bring their hearts back to center. The Bluford Library has the newest addition called the Meditation and Reflection Room. You can find the peaceful space on the third floor, room 303, which holds a desk, cushions, and encouraging messages to give you an extra push throughout your day. Students can reserve time in the Meditation and Reflection Room by visiting the Bluford Library website or Instagram. Scan the QR code and book your relaxation stay. Next up, students might have found a quicker way to secure a parking spot for class. Aggie News reporter Haley Pender finds out how. Take a look.
NCA&T is full of new additions this academic school year, from a new chancellor to a new building name with Fry Hall. Another new incorporation that sparked buzz throughout the yard is NCAP Park. The parking app powered by Parkson is solely designed for the NCA&T State University community. With this app, students are able to not only find parking relatively quickly, but also remember where they parked, receive parking announcements, and share parking feedback. Parking Services Kim Jackson spoke more on how the app has been innovative.
And so the reason we invested in this app was to make it more efficient for people to find parking, available parking on campus. One of the challenges last year we heard was that it was very difficult to find parking, that the lots were overcrowded, that people were driving around, and the app is a way to help reduce those activities. So this is a crowdsourcing app.
The new app will be accompanied by several other actions A&T is taking as a part of their campus master plan, Phase 1 development set for 2023 to 2030. We will keep you updated as more additions come along. In Greensboro at North Carolina A&T, Haley Pender, Aggie News.
Aggie Source is introducing Moving with the Purpose Crop Walk on Sunday, October 6th. The Source will walk and raise money for supporting hunger suffering, local and globally. It will take place at Barber Park and will begin at 2:30 p.m. You can also participate virtually by sending your donations and receiving community service hours. Check the Aggie Source social media at NCAT Aggie Source to spend a day walking with a purpose. Coming next, we take a dive into politics, discussing the vice presidential debate, Biden campaign, and allegations with North Carolina's governor candidate. Keep watching.
Good morning, I am Diane Guide, and you are watching Pride, People, and Politics. First up, we take you to the vice presidential debate. On October 1st, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz faced off in the vice presidential debate with a more civil tone compared to previous debates. The candidates tackled topics such as immigration, healthcare, and climate change. On healthcare, Walz highlighted the burdens families face, asserting high housing and child care costs are the biggest burdens on American families. Meanwhile, Vance defended his position on healthcare, claiming we have current laws and regulations to protect people with pre-existing conditions. The debate also forced both candidates to address their past statements. Vance clarified his stance on abortion, distancing himself from a past statement about the national ban. Walz reiterated his support for reproductive rights, emphasizing that women should have the right to make their own healthcare decisions. While the presidential debate is more widely viewed, students should also pay equal attention to the vice presidential debate to understand the full picture of the candidates' platforms. Aggies, with the 2024 general election less than 35 days away, be sure to stay informed and make your voice heard through your vote. As threats to college campuses continue to rise, A&T's Humans First Club is doing something about it. Political reporter Avery Patterson has more.
This is the first full-body meeting of A&T's Humans First Club. Although the club sometimes does laid-back events like these, the club is focused on a much more serious topic: creating positive relationships between A&T's police and their students.
Yeah, so safety is one of the biggest issues across all public HBCUs. But by us being an open campus, Humans First wants to make sure we close that gap and bridge it so, it's safer on our campus.
The second part of this executive order.
The work of Humans First is especially relevant because last Thursday, President Biden signed an executive order refining school shooter drills and putting more restrictions on firearms. A&T's Humans First Club is an example of a local attempt to combat threats in college communities. I talked with Cameron Brown to see why she thinks this club is so important.
I think it's important to have that advocacy on campus because a lot of students don't feel like their voices are heard, and Humans First is that organization to make sure that that is aware.
In August of last year, UNC Chapel Hill's school shooting had a profound impact on the North Carolina community. With school shootings becoming a more pressing issue, A&T's Humans First Club is committed to promoting positive relationships between students and policemen in order to keep A&T's campus safe. In Greensboro, North Carolina, Avery Patterson, Aggie News.
North Carolina Governor nominee Josh Stein is in a 14% lead after his running mate, Republican Mark Robinson, gets grilled over pornography website messages seen over a decade ago. The comments spanning from 2008 to 2012 include a multitude of lewd and inflammatory sentiments. Under the moniker Mini Soldier, CNN K-File investigators found Robinson referred to himself as a black Nazi and a perv. The statements are in direct contrast to many of his anti-abortion, anti-transgender stances and promote white supremacy. Publicly, Robinson is a fierce advocate for identifying with gender assignment at birth and using corresponding restrooms. However, online, Robinson made multiple comments regarding his enjoyment of transgender films. Despite the allegations, Robinson denies making the comments, which predate his entry into politics and his run for lieutenant governor. But Robinson listed his full name and email address used on multiple sites on the internet for decades. If the Greensboro native is elected on November 5th in the gubernatorial election, he will become the first black governor in the history of North Carolina. After the short break, Aggie News will see what's going on with sports on campus with anchor Micah Cannon. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you something about the tri-state area.
We have it all. Food, culture, business, the most unique people on the planet.
Diverse neighborhoods
have diverse needs.
What happens here
is just as vital as what happens here.
That's why we live in the communities we serve.
Reporting for the communities we serve.
So when big things happen,
you get the answers you need now.
We know this because we
live here too.
Welcome to Aggie Sports. I'm your sport taker, Micah Cannon. We'll take a look at our football Aggies' slow start to their season as the women's bowling team look to continue their dominance from last season into their new campaign. Let's hop right into it. This week, our Aggies will travel up to the University of Richmond at Claiborne Robins Stadium for a face-off with the Spiders at 2 p.m. The Aggies go into this week with a 1-4 record, putting them second to last in the CAA standings after a 25-45 loss last week against South Carolina State. On the bright side, the Aggies are coming off their best passive performance of the season, with senior quarterback Justin Fonby going 16 for 19 for 205 yards, throwing 3 touchdowns in the loss, including this amazing dime pass to junior wide receiver Jakari Caldwell. Coach Brown addressed some of the problems leading to the slow start to this season.
Yeah, the biggest challenge we faced so far this season is really all of the injuries that we've had very early on. Offensively and special teams, we turned the ball over 4 times, 3 of which we lost.
Starting this slate of conference games, some of our other players will have to step up, and due to key players being out, we're going to need some players to really step up their games going into the next couple games this season. Last week, sophomore running back Cameron Dalrymple did just that. He stepped up big, leading the Aggies with 93 yards on the ground. Unlike the Aggies' last contest, these two teams do not have a lot of history. They've only met 2 times before, first in 2016 and last in 2023. The Aggies not only have an opportunity to avenge their first 2 losses in the series, but they also have a chance to knock off a top 10 team in the conference, rejuvenating both their team and the fans, Aggie Nation. See you in Richmond, Virginia for what's sure to be an exciting football game. Now, while football's in the middle of their season, let's go to our women's bowling team, who are about to roll into their season. We are just 2 weeks away from the women's bowling team season starting. Before the season gets underway, the MEAC named who they thought will win the end-of-season awards, and a few of our Aggies were selected, starting with Chloe Newberry, Melanie Caden, and Maya Aviles. They took up 3 of the 5 spots on the all-conference team. NCNT's Maya Aviles is your preseason player of the year, coming off her senior season, compiling a dominant 1,170 frames, averaging 20.65 pins per frame, and a 52.5 strike percentage. Last week, 14 of the 16 votes went to the Aggies in favor of them finishing in first place. And last but certainly not least, they are also named the favorites to take home their 8th MEAC championship. The NTCA has named the Aggies as the number 6 team in America. Reigning Coach of the Year, Kim Terrell-Kearney, and the Aggies will have their first match back at Sacred Heart University on October 18th. With bowling rolling in, let's take over and let the weather take over to see what's rolling in and out of those crispy skies.
I'm your meteorologist, Chandler Anderson, here to bring you the weather updates. After Hurricane Helene caused serious damage across 6 states, Western North Carolina is dealing with flash floods and landslides. Many people are still without power and water. Last Thursday, NCAT took precautions by canceling classes on Friday to keep students safe. Sadly, the death toll from Helene has risen to over 190, with 73 in North Carolina alone. Collapsed roads are trapping residents, but rescue efforts are ongoing. The Greensboro Fire Department has sent a search and rescue team to help. Helene is now the second deadliest hurricane to hit the U.S. in 55 years after Katrina. Rebuilding will take time. While Helene has passed, we're keeping an eye on Hurricane Kirk, which has reached Category 3. Luckily, it shouldn't impact North Carolina in the next week or so. In Guilford County, things have calmed down. Today's weather will be partly cloudy with a high of 79 degrees and a low around 63. Expect temperatures in the high 70s through Monday, with cooler weather in the low 70s later in the week. It's a bit early to say for sure, but we might have great weather for GEHO. I'm Chandler Anderson, your meteorologist, and this is Aggie News. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back to give you more news surrounding the culture of campus life.
Let me tell you something about the tri-state area.
We have it all. Food, culture, business, the most unique people on the planet.
Diverse neighborhoods
Have diverse needs.
What happens here
Is just as vital as what happens here.
That's why we live in the communities we serve.
reporting for the communities we serve.
So when big things happen,
You get the answers you need now.
We know this because we
We
live here too.
Welcome back to Aggie News. bringing you the latest, the hottest, and the trendiest. I'm Sydney Henry, your entertainment anchor for today. The greatest homecoming on earth is around the corner, and with that comes annual favorites, one being the annual fashion show hosted by the Council of Presidents, COP. The theme this year is Mythical Threads, inspired by reimagined fairy tales. Students will take the runway to another realm, showcasing the themes of heroes versus villains, mythical fantasies, classical fairy tales, and enchanted realms. COP's event coordinator, James, said they have been working all summer crafting the theme for the show. This version of Fashion Week right here on the campus of North Carolina A&T showcased Tuesday, October 15th at 6 p.m. in Corbett. Up next, a new kind of competition was brought to campus. One that brought out the fun, the competition, and the chance to walk away with big prizes. It was a game show experience that had campus buzzing last week. Let's take a look.
Are you ready to win some money? How about some new AirPods and a Stanley Cup? The Legacy Game Show is here at A&T, giving away $9,500 in prizes, and one lucky winner will walk away with $1,000 scholarship. Imagine a blend of Family Feud, trivia, and The Price is Right. You don't want to miss this.
We are bringing, the knowledge of financial literacy to A&T and to Black students all around. I'm so excited to be here and represent, our illustrious HBCU, the originator of the South. So yes, I'm just so happy to be here and to support, Experian and also give back, to the community as well.
Hosted by Experian in the Office of Leadership and Civic Engagement, 3 universities, North Carolina A&T, Shaw University, and North Carolina Central, will face off with 4 contestants competing to win the prizes.
Because not only is it just a game show, but we're giving away $1,000 worth of prizes. We have PlayStations 5, iPhones, anything you could think of, along with a scholarship. But not just for the money, but also to, get more knowledge on credit and your financials.
Not only are students in for an evening filled with fun, competitiveness, and prizes, they get to witness a performance from Grammy-nominated artist D Smoke. Reporting from Harrison Auditorium, Amaya Connell, Aggie News.
Thanks for tuning in to Entertainment News today on Aggie News. I'm Sydney Henry, back to the desk. The general election is less than 30 days away. That means voter registration deadlines are even closer. Register in person, by mail, and online by Friday, October 11th. On October 17th, early voting will begin on our campus.
Thanks for watching this week's show of Aggie News broadcast. If you want to stay up to date with the weekly coverage, be sure to follow our Instagram at NCAT Student News. Come back and join us next Monday, same place, same time. I'm Kai Fisher.
And I'm Olivia Brooks. This is Aggie News. Connect with a purpose.